Let's kick it. Atlanta Soccer tonight, live on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. I'm Jason Longshore. Welcome to our weekly show. We cover soccer in Atlanta, Georgia, the Southeast, United States, everywhere the game's being played, and we're going to run the gamut tonight on AST. We're going to talk about it. There's a lot of interesting stories going on in the African Cup of Nations, in the Asian Cup. We're going to get into those in the 3-4-3 in the last segment of the show. But it's week 2 of Atlanta United's preseason training, and we're starting to see this team take a little more shape. A big signing was finalized late last week. We're going to talk about that here in segment number 1. You're going to hear from Bartosz Slisz as well. But don't forget, the games start this weekend. The matches in preseason get started this weekend. We're live on Saturday from Birmingham for the first preseason match. Pre-game coverage starts at 2 p.m. Kickoff will be at 3 p.m. You can listen on 92.9 The Game on the Odyssey app. You can also watch with our commentary on atlutd.com/live. Now, it's preseason game number 1. What should we realistically expect in this match? If you're going to make the trip over to Birmingham, and we hope to see you there, or if you're going to watch, if you're going to listen, I think you have to keep your expectations reasonable. It's game number 1. They want to win every game. And that's something that Tristan Muyumba spoke about today in media after training. They're competitive. They want to win every match. You want to get your season off to that kind of a start. But that's not the most important thing about this. There are levels to how a preseason operates. And a lot of that's going to come down to how many minutes guys play. You're going to see starters that are available, and not all of them are for this first match. Talk about that in a second. I think you're going to see starters for about 45 minutes, maybe a few a little less, depending on where their fitness is at this stage. This is why you have a sports science department. This is why you track where players are in terms of fitness. This is why guys work hard in the offseason to come into camp fit and don't play themselves into shape. They come in good shape and build from there. But building that level of fitness is so important, and you can't rush it. You can't get out of whack with that. I think 45 minutes is a reasonable expectation for the guys that are available. Now, who do we know that will not be available in this one? We know Thiago Almada will not be available. He is with the Argentine U23s playing in Olympic qualifying in South America. That tournament's being held in Venezuela. You can watch the games on FS1 or FS2 or Fox Soccer Plus. The first game for Argentina was a 1-1 draw with Paraguay. So no Almada, probably no Edwin Mosquera. He was supposed to play in that tournament with Colombia, but was injured and came back to Atlanta to rehab the injury. Not expecting him to be available. Don't think it's a long-term injury, but he's going to miss some time, and he's missing the opportunity with the Colombian youth national team. Not expecting Stian Gregerson and Bartosz Slisz to be available for this one. Their signings are finalized. They're in the work visa process. You never exactly know how long that's going to take. Fingers crossed that we'll get to see them on Saturday. I'm not expecting that, especially when it comes to Slisz, because his signing was just finalized at the end of last week. We don't know of any other injuries, so you could be looking at a situation on Saturday where you're going to see either Brad Gazan or Josh Cohen start in goal, and that's really the big position battle as we go into preseason. That's something that Carlos Bocanegra's talked about. That's something that Gonzalo Pineda's talked about. It's something that Gazan and Cohen have both talked about. You want competition. It's a competition for the number 1 spot. I wouldn't be surprised if we see each one play 45 on Saturday. Back line, Caleb Wiley has just come back from the U.S. men's national team. I believe there was a minor injury in camp. I'm not sure if he will be ready to go on Saturday or not. If there's any concern, they'll go easy with him. Outside of that, you have Brooks Lennon on the right side, and you have either Ronald Hernandez or Aiden McFadden who can play on the opposite side on the left if Caleb Wiley's not ready to go. Center back, you have Luis Abram, and it'll either be Derek Williams or Noah Cobb or Efrain Morales to play alongside if Stian Gregerson is not available. Midfield, wouldn't be surprised to see a Tristan Muyumba and a Johnny Fortune pairing as they are both available. Dax McCarty can factor in as well. I think we'll see some of the young guys, especially I mentioned Cobb and Morales at center back. Aiden Torres could be a possibility in the holding midfield. Luke Brennan could be a possibility on the wing. Nick Firmino could be a possibility in that 10 role, replacing Almada. On the wing, you have a lot of options. You have Sabo Lobjanidze, you have Sean De Silva, you have Derek Etienne, you have Tyler Wolf, Yorgos Yakimakis, Jamal Tiare, probably going to split the time up top. So you'll see a lot of faces. I think you'll see a lot of academy players in this as well. I know one, Dominic Chongqui, has been part of preseason training. Looking forward to seeing him get an opportunity at left back. Cooper Sanchez, a player that I know Gonzalo Pineda is very high on, as is many in the club. Cooper Sanchez debuted at 15 years old with Atlanta Next 2 or Atlanta United 2 and MLS Next Pro last year. Wouldn't be surprised if we get to see him in this match in Birmingham, along with many other academy players. Really looking forward to it. But we're talking about expectations, also talking about what you want to get out of this match. Tristan Muyumba, I asked him today after training what his goals were and what the team's goals were for Saturday. Here's Tristan Muyumba from earlier today.
Find the rhythm. I think the most important is find the rhythm. Of course, we want to win, but if I have to just say one point important is find the rhythm for everyone. So for the young players, for the guys on for the first team, yeah, it's find the good rhythm for everything.
Atlanta Soccer tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. I'm Jason Longshore. That was Tristan Muyumba from earlier today at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. This is a team that wants to build a rhythm as quickly as possible. It's a team that wants to dominate possession, dominate the ball, control games, control the tempo of games. And when you have that rhythm with the ball, you can do that. When you have that rhythm in how you press as well, you can do that. Now, it is going to be building blocks because, like I said off the top, you're not expecting to have Stian Gregerson or Bartosz Slisz in this one. Now, the Bartosz Slisz signing is done now. He is a member of Atlanta United. Just got to get his work visa when you get into kind of what's next here. And I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. The Polish midfielder, 24 years old, or turned 25 at the end of March. Legia Warsaw was his former club. Played a ton of games there. He has a ton of experience at his age. 6 caps with the Polish national team. Excited to see what he can bring to this team because I think on paper and what we've seen in highlights, Slisz is a really good pairing with Tristan Muyumba. I think Jay Fortune is going to push for time. I think he's going to get plenty of time this season, and that competition is good. Dax McCarty as well. But Slisz is a player that if he and Muyumba can hit the ground running, that's a holding midfield pair that is not purely going to sit and defend. They're both going to be able to get forward. Slisz, especially on the ball with his progressive passing, but also his progressive dribbling. He carries the ball forward very, very well, covers a ton of ground on the offensive side of the ball, as well as what he does defensively. Here's Bartosz Slisz from earlier today talking about his welcoming here in Atlanta.
Oh, it's really nice. Really, I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm here, and the welcome was very warm. And yeah, I think this first days was very great for me. Everyone here is kindly. So yeah, I'm happy. It's the beginning for me. So yeah, in a few weeks will be for sure better.
Slisz and Gregerson can work out individually, and hopefully we'll be able to get into some of these preseason matches sooner rather than later. Now, in our conversation with Slisz from earlier today, Doug Robertson of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution asked him about what he saw in Atlanta United's games and highlights from 2023, what kind of impression it left with him. Here's Bartosz and his answer to that question.
I think first of all will be that Atlanta always is in offense, and when I watch also the highlights, I don't know that it was like 80% of these highlights was like Atlanta was in offense. So yeah, I know that this coach also liked to play offensive football, so I like it also. And I think in the last 2 years I improved a lot in this in offense shape. So yeah, for sure, also will be good for me to improve because. At Legia also we played offense football, but I think it was a little bit different because in the Ekstraklasa a lot of teams play very deep and they play for counterattacks. And MLS I think is a little bit different, and I heard that also it's a little bit bigger space between the lines. So yeah, we'll see.
Legia Warsaw, if you're not familiar, is a powerhouse of the Polish game. And like Bartosz said, a lot of times when they play teams, especially when they were hosting teams, they're going to sit back and they're going to defend and they're going to, quote, park the bus. You know, this is something that we talk about a lot with Atlanta United that they have to face. I think you see less of that in MLS. I think you'll see less of that with Atlanta United specifically. You're going to see teams that will try to play. You'll also see teams that will park the bus. So that's something he has experience with. He talked about it as well. He generally played in a 3-4-3 there at Legia Warsaw, and he was in the midfield duo. So he's used to playing with a partner in the midfield. He's used to playing in a team that wants to attack. Now they did it out of a different shape, but that's an easy adjustment once you get on the field and start playing with these guys. I'm excited to see how it all comes together. We're going to start to get hints of that on Saturday. We're not going to see the whole thing on Saturday, but we're going to start to get some hints of what this team will look like. Saturday, Birmingham Legion is the opponent. This is a USL Championship team that is also starting their preseason maybe a couple of days after Atlanta United, not too far after. Pretty much that lines up a little bit better this year than it has in previous years. This is a team, though, that is somewhat incomplete. They're still adding players. I think you're going to see a lot of players who are not under contract yet. You're going to see a lot of players who are playing for a contract with Birmingham Legion, which adds, I don't know, maybe a little bit of extra spice to this match. I'm looking forward to it. I think the games we've seen with Atlanta and Birmingham over the years have been competitive. I think this is a Birmingham team that has turned over more of their roster than maybe we're accustomed to seeing. So I think you will have that pressure built into this match, whether it's guys trying to earn a contract, guys trying to earn a spot in the starting lineup that maybe wasn't there for them before. And I think you're going to see that from the Atlanta side as well. I mentioned the biggest position battle is at goalkeeper, but there are other spots. Jay Fortune, Dax McCarty, Bartosz Slisz, when he's able to get on the field, Tristan Muyumba, these are guys who all want to play. Aiden McFadden, Ronald Hernandez, chomping at the bit to get more minutes. Derek Williams wants to play games for this team. The winger depth that I talked about earlier, you have a ton of guys who want to get time. Derek Etienne wants to have a much better year in 2024 compared to 2023, which was a disappointment for him and unexpected for him. Lots of storylines going into the preseason. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. You're going to hear more from Tristan Muyumba. You're going to hear from Brooks Lennon, and you're going to hear from Gonzalo Pineda right after this on Atlanta Soccer Tonight on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Welcome back, Atlanta Soccer tonight, live on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. We're going to hold the 3-4-3, one more segment, a little bit more on Atlanta United preseason before we get into those local stories, those headlines, and the things that make me smile about the game that I love so much. Hold that. Let's get into preseason a little bit more as a big picture conversation here. Saturday in Birmingham, first game of 5 in preseason. Going to go to Birmingham to face a USL Championship team. Going to see another USL Championship team, that's second division, the following Saturday, February 3rd, in Athens at UGA. A great facility to see a game, very intimate. If you get the chance to come and join us for that, that will also be on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app and on the Atlanta United website. Then the team heads down to the Tampa area. They'll play February 7th, a Wednesday, in St. Petersburg against Montreal. Then follow that up February 10th versus the Tampa Bay Rowdies in their home, Al Lang Stadium in St. Petersburg, Florida, before ending preseason matches behind closed doors on February 17th in Fort Lauderdale against Sporting Kansas City. Now, a variety of competition in preseason this year. You get 3 USL championship teams in Birmingham, Memphis, and the Tampa Bay Rowdies. 2 MLS teams, Montreal, who has a new manager. You'll see them down in Tampa, in the Tampa area in St. Petersburg. And you get Sporting Kansas City in that last preseason game behind closed doors where it's almost like a dry run before the MLS season opener, which is the following weekend, February 24th, in Columbus against the defending champions, the Columbus Crew. Now, preseason, you go into it and you have a plan, you have things that you want to accomplish in a preseason. Let's hear from El Profe of Atlanta United, the manager, Gonzalo Pineda, on his goals for his team in preseason.
Well, no injuries first. Number one, that's very good goal to have in preseason. We already have one with Edwin Mosquera being injured at the Colombia national team. So we don't want any more of those. And then, of course, couple things, of course, as we try to make the team more robust physically and be able to have a foundation physically for the rest of the season. We want the same on all the categories in football, right? All the other parts of football, which is technical ability, tactical ability, mentality. So we want to create some robustness and some foundation for the team in preparation for a very demanding 2024 with many expectations. So we just want to create the foundation. Specifically, we're going to emphasize defensive actions, how we can defend better as a team, collectively pressing better, and continue with the main ideas of the team in attack. We need to maintain the way we closed down the year, the last 10 games plus playoffs, scoring multiple goals in different fashions, transitions, attacking the final third. So we want to emphasize that. And then the mentality. The mentality is a big one because we want to win more away games. So we want to train that. We'll have all the games away from our facilities or our stadium. All the preseason games will be away. And that's on purpose. That's calculated. So we start to replicate some of those behaviors.
I think that's the key, that last bit from Gonzalo, in terms of kind of replicating what you want out of the regular season matches. So you're not playing any games at the training ground, for example. You're not playing any games in Kennesaw or at the Bends in preseason. You're going to have to travel for all of them. You're going to be in different environments. You're going to have to move around a little bit. And there's a few things that come out of that. I think an improved defensive performance out of this team in 2024. Look, it's got to be number one on the punch list, right? You have to concede fewer goals than you did last year. And I think ultimately, to get really specific, you have to concede fewer bad goals. And every goal that gets conceded is bad, but goals that get conceded off of throw-ins, off of simple turnovers, off of defensive mistakes, bad decisions being made, those sorts of things, those are the ones you have to eliminate. You're going to concede goals that are just world-class goals that the other team scores. You tip your cap, you move on. you're going to concede goals where a player makes a mistake with making, maybe the right decision and the opponent made a better decision, maybe jumped into a passing lane that was unexpected, things like that. Those things happen, and you have to shake those off, and those will be part of this season and part of the game. You can't have the multitude of bad goals from last year that were either bad decisions being made or off of silly things. I mean, multiple goals were conceded off of throw-ins. That can't happen. Closing out games at times was an issue, although this team did score a whole lot of goals late in games, so they overturned some results as well. But you start creating mentality in preseason. It's an opportunity for a team to come together. And look, you have some different faces in this team. You have some different cultures represented in this team. You have, I think, because of that, some different experiences professionally from new players in this team. You're going to see a different personality out of this group in 2024. And guys like Gregerson and Slisz are a big part of that. Guys that are, hard nosed, that have played in teams that have been expected to win, but also teams that are not afraid to scrap and fight and claw and win dirty when they have to. I mean, dirty in terms of fouling. I mean, dirty in terms of, hey, it's not always going to be pretty. You have to get the result one way or another. These are guys who are going to bring a little bit different mix to the group. It's like when you have a recipe and you don't have one of the ingredients and you have to change it, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, it's kind of the same thing, but maybe it's a little bit better. That's not to say any of the players that aren't here this season from 2023 weren't good players. But when you change an element, and especially when you change a starting element, the group has a different personality. And I think you saw that as last year went on. You've seen that over the years with Atlanta United. And you're going to see that in 2024 with a group that has some different faces in the starting lineup, whether it's young players coming into the team and bringing a different youthful exuberance, or sometimes, being a little naive and making some different kinds of mistakes that you have to deal with, but also bringing a different energy. But also guys like Gregerson and Slisz who bring a different set of experiences to the mix. I'm excited to see how it comes together. We're going to start to see that on Saturday in Birmingham. This is Atlanta Soccer Tonight. We're previewing the Atlanta United preseason, which gets underway on Saturday in Birmingham. I'm Jason Longshore. Who you're going to hear from next is Brooks Lennon. And Brooks Lennon continued the theme when he spoke to the media on Friday about this team learning how to win tough games, learning how to concede fewer goals, and specifically learning how to win matches on the road. Here's Atlanta United right back, Brooks Lennon.
Yeah, I think the main thing that, we can change is just the mindset. Going into those away games, it's not like we're losing, 5 players each game when we play on the road. We have the same, lineup. We have the same players available. It's just the mindset of going on the road and playing like we do at the Bens. Because I think the way Gonzalez sets us up, we're most likely going to have the ball most of the game. And we have our style of play, and we're not going to, veer off that style. So I think just having the right mindset going into away games, understanding that those are games that we need to win. They're not, let's hope to win tonight. Those are games that we need to win if we want to finish in the top 4. So just having the right mindset, knowing that no matter if we're playing at home or on the road, we play the same style and have the mindset of winning at all costs.
This team is always going to play in an attacking manner. And look, I know there's been conversations over the years about, my old Atlanta United and what that is. And is that 2017? Is that 2018? What that looks like. To be perfectly honest, this Atlanta United that we're seeing under Gonzalo Pineda, when they have been fully healthy, so you have to discount a large portion of the 2022 season. The end of 2021, maybe the very beginning of 2022, And last season at the beginning and then after the League's Cup break specifically, this is a team that's going to score a lot of goals. This is a team that's going to get a lot of players forward. They're going to take a lot of risks. They're going to put players in 1v1 defensive situations who have to perform and make the plays, make the right decisions, and get the job done. That has to happen in 2024. Going back to what Brooks Lennon said on Friday, this was a team in 2023 that won 3 games on the road, had 8 draws, and had 6 losses. They got results more often than they lost on the road. That's a good step in the right direction. That was the 6th best road performance in the Eastern Conference. The team finished 6th in the Eastern Conference table. They conceded 32 goals on the road and scored 24. That goal differential's got to come down a little bit. If you had turned 2 of those draws into wins, likely based on goal differential, that would have had the team in 4th place in the East instead of 6th. That would have had a different playoff matchup. That would have given them home field advantage in a game 3 in that first round if it had gone to it. That's why being in the top 4 is so important. Tristan Muyumba, I spoke to him earlier today, spoke to the media earlier today to be specific. And this is Tristan speaking about the team's goals for 2024.
We have to talk again about the every goals for the season, but we know the important to finish on the top 4, because if you are the supporter shield and you play the second game at home, the third game at home, it's important. We know and we know we can beat every team in the bands. So it's important for us to play in the Mercedes-Benz. So, yeah.
So look, don't get it twisted. You've heard Gonzalo Pineda in preseason. You've heard Brooks Lennon. I think you've heard pretty much everybody who's spoken to the media in a variety of ways over these past couple of weeks talk about top 4. It's not saying that this team only wants to finish in the top 4, and if they finish 4th, that's good enough. No, no, no. Why top 4 is important is for that playoff positioning, to have home field advantage in a critical game 3. We saw how important it was last season in Columbus in game 3. You want to give yourself every opportunity to then advance and then move into the knockout rounds and get to MLS Cup. Finishing in the top 4 does that. Finishing first gives you the best opportunity. Finishing second gives you the next best, and so on and so forth. This is a team that's not going to settle for being 4th, but getting into that top 4, that is step 1 of the goals that this team has in 2024. That's the most important goal of getting to that point, because you have to have these building blocks along the way. Obviously, goals, winning MLS Cup, I think winning Supporters Shield, I think winning Leagues Cup. These are all winning the Open Cup. These are all things that this team wants to accomplish in 2024. But the first building block along that pathway is being in the top 4. You're going to do that by giving up fewer goals, and you're going to do that by getting more points on the road in 2024. Those are 2 critical things to look at as the season gets started in late February. Things to keep in mind when we talk about these preseason matches coming up starting on Saturday in Birmingham. But coming up next here on AST, our final segment, 3 local stories, 4 world headlines, 3 things that make me smile about this game that I love so much. It's the 3-4-3 coming up next in 5 on 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Welcome back, Atlanta Soccer Tonight. Final segment for Tuesday, January 23rd. I'm Jason Longshore. It's the 343. Y'all know by now, 3 local stories, 4 headlines, 3 things that make me smile about the game that I love so much. Let's start on the local side. Number 1, we've talked a lot about Atlanta United. Let's talk a little about Atlanta United 2. Their preseason schedule was announced today. 5 games at home in Marietta, 1 game on the road to get ready for the 2024 MLS Next Pro season. That schedule is going to come out soon. Can't wait to see that. If you know how I feel about the entirety of the club, the second team, the academy teams, they're all so vital. The second team is critical to the success of the club as a whole. It's where first team players get minutes, it's where academy players get their first professional opportunities. It's such an important part. The first preseason friendly for Atlanta United 2 will be on February 4th against Georgia Revolution. They're going to host Charlotte Independence, Greenville Triumph, FC Cincinnati 2, and the Chattanooga Red Wolves before going over to Huntsville, Alabama to face Huntsville City on March 8th. Now, the games at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Training Ground will be closed to the public. Fingers crossed on a stream or 2 of some of these. And hey, you might recognize the voice on it. We're going to try to get some of these done for y'all to be able to see the 2s ahead of their opener, which should be in mid-March. You would expect if the last preseason game is on March 8th, that the next pro season would start the following weekend. Number 2 on the local side, really cool event coming up. The Women's Sports Foundation, it was founded by Billie Jean King. They established a day to recognize women in sports. This is the 38th year of that day, National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Inner Atlanta, one of the youth clubs here in the metro area and in town, they're hosting their 3rd annual National Girls and Women in Sports Day event at the Arizona Avenue Complex on Tuesday, February 6th from 5 to 7 p.m. It's going to be pickup soccer supported by the Georgia State and Agnes Scott College teams, a panel discussion with local celebs. And this event, it's open to the community. It's not just open to players from the Inner Atlanta Club. For more information, you want to check this out, you want to take your girls out to participate, go to social media and go to IAFC_blues for more information. Number 3 on the local side, let's go up I-75 to Dalton. The Chattanooga Red Wolves, they announced a big signing for their upcoming USL League One season, Omar Hernandez. Hernandez is one of the most storied players to come from Soccer Town, USA in Dalton, Georgia. He played for Dalton High School, won the 2019 Georgia State Championship, was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year that year, set the school record for goals in a career, 84, and assists, 64. Played in USL League 2 while he was in college with the Dalton Red Wolves. Started his college career at Wake Forest, had 13 goals and 10 assists in 70 games, was named to the 2022 ACC preseason watch list, was named to the 3rd team All-South region in 2021, had a grad year and went to Mercer last season, played in the SoCon there. This is a top talent. This is a guy who's had some injuries during his college run, but a guy who has a bright professional future, and he's going to get to do that just up the road from his hometown with the Chattanooga Red Wolves. Big time congrats to Omar Hernandez and the Chattanooga Red Wolves for getting this deal done. All right, 4 headlines from around the world. Let's start with number 1 in the English Premier League. Nottingham Forest. They are in talks with Borussia Dortmund over the loan signing and potential full transfer of U.S. men's national team attacker Gio Reyna. This is according to ESPN and many others at this point. Nottingham Forest wants to bring him in on loan until the end of the season, an option to buy after that. Forest are hopeful that this move is going to get done, but it's not done yet. There's still some details to iron out. Now, earlier in the month, it started to come out that Gio Reyna wanted to leave Borussia Dortmund. He started his, I guess, professional youth academy career. I mean, we're talking as a young teenager with New York City FC, where his father, Claudio, was the sporting director. He went to Borussia Dortmund, Didn't ever sign a homegrown deal with NYCFC, which was kind of strange. Joe Scally did. Reyna didn't. He went to Borussia Dortmund on a free, started there, broke in there, but he hasn't played much this season, only 12 games, 320 minutes. He wants to go. He has a new agent. Usually when you change your agent, that means you want something to happen here. And when you have an agent in Jorge Mendes, a lot of times things are going to happen with Jorge Mendes. So he's trying to find the best move possible. His father, Claudio, is involved in this process as well. Looking for a loan or permanent deal right now. Dortmund are looking for around $16 million to transfer him outright right now. But it sounds like maybe they'll start with a loan and then an option to buy down the road. He joined Borussia Dortmund in 2019. He's under contract through June of 2025, but the writing's kind of on the wall that he's not going to be a regular there, and it's time to move on. And when you start looking at a Copa America coming up this summer and all the opportunities with the U.S. men's national team, Gio Reyna's got to play more. And if that's not going to happen at Dortmund, it's time to go. Number 2 on the headlines, group stage, African Cup of Nations. This has been insanity. Highly recommended viewing if you are able to on BN Sports. I watch through the Fanatis app. That's how I get BN and a number of other channels. It is well worth your time. If you can't watch live during the day, totally understand. Watch the highlights. Watch these games back because pretty much every game has been insanity. Mauritania, they've never led in any game at the African Cup of Nations in their history, let alone win a game. They won a game. They won a game today. They beat Algeria, who won this tournament in 2019. Algeria is out, and Mauritania is going to the round of 16. Angola, they won that group. They won with a 2-0 win over Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso will finish second in Group D. Angola, they won 2-0. Mabululu got the first half goal, and Zini got the second half goal. They win the group with 7 points. Burkina Faso second with 4. Mauritania with 3. They will advance into the round of 16. The other wild one today was Cameroon. Cameroon came back with 2 goals very, very late to win 3-2 and advance. They were minutes away from elimination from the tournament, and they end up advancing. They're the second team in the history of the tournament to win a match without extra time, so not in the knockout rounds, after trailing in the 85th minute. Ghana did it over Burkina Faso in 2002. Stoppage time winner from Christopher Wu. That got Cameroon to second place in that group behind Senegal. The Gambia were eliminated after a third successive loss in that group. Guinea should go through into the next round. Third place teams will advance 4 of the 6 in this tournament. Senegal beat Guinea 2-0. They advanced. They won 3 out of 3. They're going through. Equatorial Guinea. This is another team that's been a huge surprise. They won 4-0 over the host, Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is looking for all kinds of help to get through in the games tomorrow. But that win for Equatorial Guinea, they have been promised, the squad has been promised a €1 million bonus for this. A public holiday was declared after they beat the Ivory Coast in this. A big story in this tournament has been Emilio Insue. He is a 34-year-old. He plays in the 3rd division in Spain, typically plays as a right back with his club. He's got 5 goals in the tournament, more than any other player. He's the captain of the team. He plays for a club called Club de Football Intercity. They're in the 3rd division. He can play on the wing a little bit, but he's typically a right back. Came through Mallorca, was born in Spain, played with Real Sociedad, went to England, played for Middlesbrough and Birmingham, played in Cyprus and played in Bosnia, and he joined Intercity in 2022. What an incredible story. This tournament continues tomorrow. Last games in the group stage. Mali trying to win Group E. South Africa is in 2nd. Namibia is in 3rd. Tunisia is in 4th. Group F, Morocco is on top right now. DR Congo is 2nd. Zambia 3rd. Tanzania 4th. Big games tomorrow. 2 games at noon, 2 games at 3 o'clock. And like I said, Ivory Coast right now would go through. Zambia is the one who could knock the Ivory Coast out or the third place team from Group F. Gonna be a wild one tomorrow on beIN Sports and on the Fanati's app. Atlanta Soccer tonight, wrapping up for a Tuesday night. I'm Jason Longshore, finishing out the 3-4-3. Let's move to the third headline. Palestine and Syria, they are moving forward into the Asian Cup for the first time ever. They both secured their place in the round of 16 as the two of the best third-place teams in games today. Iran is going to advance. Not a surprise there. They're one of the favorites. Mehdi Taremi, he scored both goals in a 2-1 win over the UAE today. Australia, 1-1 draw with Uzbekistan. Australia was already through. Uzbekistan finished second in that group. And number 4 in the headlines, Inter Miami. They've played 2 preseason matches already. They've been to 2 different countries already. They played in El Salvador on Friday night. They played in Dallas on Monday late afternoon. They haven't scored a goal yet. They drew scoreless in El Salvador and a 1-0 loss to FC Dallas on Monday. It's preseason. Don't take too much into those results. The biggest surprise for me is how many minutes the Stars have played. No spring chickens here. Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, Sergio Busquets, they played 64 minutes yesterday in Dallas after playing in El Salvador on Friday night. Jordi Alba played the full 90 in Dallas yesterday. Now, they already have lost a player, Facundo Farias. Crazy injury. He was tackled from behind in El Salvador, torn ACL. He's done for the year. That was announced on Saturday. Surgery coming up soon for Facundo Farias. Now Miami's got to go try to find a loan. They're looking at Palavecino from River Plate if they can get a loan deal done for him because they're going to be running up against the salary cap here pretty quick. 3 things that make me smile as we finish up AST for a Tuesday night. Number 1, I had the chance to call my first game of 2024 for the Atlantic Soccer Media Group. It was the UPSL Southeast quarterfinal, called alongside my friend Jessica Charman, our friend, AST contributor as well. And the only goal in the match was an absolute golazo from Kai Pope of St. Louis City's Academy. They beat Florida Premier 1-0. Goal was from about 40 yards out to beat the keeper. The keeper had come out and made a great play at the top of his own 18 where he didn't use his hands, but he made a save probably a couple steps outside the 18-yard box. It deflected out, and Pope, no hesitation, puts one over him into the side netting. An incredible goal. Always good for your first goal of the year to be a golazo. Love it. Number 2, look, I love preseason. It's an exciting time. I can't wait to get Atlanta United back in action, calling these games, seeing academy players and how they measure up, seeing the new faces. Season number 8 for the Five Stripes. Feels like yesterday we started this whole thing at Bobby Dodd Stadium, doesn't it? Don't forget, 2 o'clock on Saturday from Birmingham's Protective Stadium. Kickoff at 3 p.m. You can listen here on 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Also streamed at atlutd.com/live. And definitely don't forget, you can join us for a great cause on Thursday. This is number 3 in things that make me smile. The inaugural Atlanta Soccer Tonight First Goal event. It's at Topgolf Midtown. We're kicking off the 2024 season in style, raising money for a great cause. Chris Thomas will be broadcasting live that night from the event. I'll be hopping on, maybe some others as well. We still got a few spots for you to play in the tournament. Send me a message at Longshoot on social media if you want to play. We'll get you signed up. You can play alongside Andy Bunker, Bo Morgan, Mike Bell, Carl Dukes. Mike Connie's going to be in the house. Lots of Atlanta soccer folks are going to be in the house. We're all going to be talking soccer, getting ready for the 2024 season. And most importantly, we're going to be raising money for the Southern Crescent Soccer Foundation and their mini pitch project in McDonough. You want some more information on that? Go to scsoccerfoundation.com to get all caught up on the event, on their mini pitch project, and on their programming as well, trying to make the game more accessible for kids in the Henry County area. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. We'll see you on Thursday at Topgolf Midtown. See you on Saturday from Birmingham. Pre-game coverage starts at 2 o'clock. And then I'll be back here, AST, next Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We'll put a bow on the Birmingham match, and we'll look ahead to facing our old friend Stephen Glass and Memphis on the following Saturday over in Athens. Adios, everybody.